Today we are going to discuss phylogenetics and phylogenetic trees using Disney's main characters as an example. Let's begin by going over some basic vocabulary. Phylogenetics is the study of the relationship among and between species. Anagenesis is evolution within a lineage over time. For example, in our case, Mickey looks very different today than he did in 1928 when he was first created. Here you can see all the changes that Mickey has gone through throughout the years. Cladogenesis is the splitting of one lineage into two. After this happens, the branches evolve separately from each other. This often leads to biological diversity. OTUs, or operational taxonomic units, can be a species or a strain of virus, or even just different alleles within a species. There are two different kinds of phylogenetic trees, unrooted and rooted. We are mainly going to be focusing on rooted trees in this example. We know we have a rooted tree when the distance between the OTUs is known and the order of divergence can be inferred by comparing to an OTU that is considered an outgroup. The outgroup roots the tree so that all the other OTUs share a common ancestor. Again, an outgroup is an OTU that is known to have diverged earlier than all of the other OTUs. Nodes represent common ancestors that existed before divergence in the phylogenetic tree. There are two different types: internal nodes, which connect branches, and external nodes, which are the tips that represent taxa. Now that we know all of our important vocabulary, we're going to go ahead and move on to our example of a phylogenetic tree. We begin with Oswald, who was Walt Disney's very first animated creation. In this case, he also represents our outgroup and roots the tree since he's the most distantly related from any of the other animated characters. Walt Disney actually created Oswald while he was working for Universal Studios. Eventually, he left and started his own company known as Walt Disney Studios. From there, we see two branches emerge. Branches are the evolutionary connections between organisms. We can also see here all of the little red dots between the branches, and those are what are called nodes. Nodes represent common ancestors. After Walt Disney Studio is created, Walt Disney begins the Mickey Mouse series, in which he creates Mickey Mouse, the main character. After a few episodes, he decides that Mickey Mouse needs a girlfriend, so he creates Minnie Mouse. Next, Walt Disney creates Donald Duck to be Mickey's best friend. Of course, Donald Duck needed a girlfriend too, so we see that Daisy Duck diverges from Donald Duck. In 1938, Walt Disney Studios finally has the opportunity to create their first featured film, which we all know as Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. From there, Walt Disney's featured films took off, and 3 years later, Pinocchio was created. Just a year after that, Dumbo was created, and finally, just about a year after that, Bambi was created. As you can see looking at the final phylogenetic tree, Pinocchio, Dumbo, and Bambi have much shorter branch lengths in comparison to each other than they do to Snow White, and this is because they have diverged from each other more recently, which means that they also have much more recent common ancestor to each other than they do to Snow White. Oh